So I decided to start out this week with something a little different, all right? A video dedicated to all my nerds. Let's talk about Birds of Prey.
Give me your wig. Give me your wig. Give me your wigs. You don't know what to do with it. Give me your.
As usual, before we get into it, make sure that you check out my Patreon at patreon.com/AdrianExpression. I will be putting up a new episode of The Expression Podcast on Tuesday. You will not want to miss it. Also, the girls are already up there on Patreon letting me know what they want me to cover on the podcast. So just go there, sign up, let me know what you think, and feast on all of the extra awesome content. Now, I wanted to make this video about Birds of Prey just because I'm always talking about Marvel, I'm always talking about DC, and I'm just like, I felt like this movie was a chance for DC to like prove themselves, I guess, again, just because in my opinion they did what they had to do with Wonder Woman, but it's just like DC for me has always been shaky when it comes to the like live action movie department. When it comes to animation, the girls get us completely on together. Like they know what they're doing in that department. I will watch a cute ass DC AU movie in a minute, you know what I mean? I mean, from Superman to Justice League versus Teen Titans, I feel like they know what they're doing in that department. But when it comes to the movies, it's very hit or miss, and a lot of times it's missed. Like, I'm sorry, it's missed. But I think that the flack or the hate that this Harley Quinn movie is getting is first of all unfair, and second of all, is probably coming from people who didn't even see the movie to begin with. So before I even go further, I just have to say that in my opinion, I think that the advertising and the promotion for Birds of Prey was absolutely like garbage. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking about the content, I'm talking about the way that it was pushed, because usually, at least in my opinion, from what I've been seeing with movie releases, usually they be in your face, like ads be everywhere, the cast is, 10, 20 different places doing interviews, but there are a lot of people actually on my Twitter who brought up the fact that, hey, maybe all the budget that they would have normally used for promotion or be shoving this movie in your face was used for the soundtrack. And I'm like, oh shit. Like once people told me that on Twitter, I was like, y'all are right, y'all are completely right. They probably banked they probably used all that coin and put all their eggs in one basket, sorry. And thought that the soundtrack would be enough. You got Megan Thee Stallion, you got Normani, you got all these artists, you got Sweetie, you got all these artists on the soundtrack, so maybe they thought that that would be enough. But in my opinion, I don't think that shit was enough. I don't think that shit was enough. I think that they should have done the soundtrack, maybe not spent as much money on that, but y'all have to make sure you allocate funds to be pushing this movie in our faces. Was there even a Super Bowl trailer for this shit? I don't know. Because, I only watched the Super Bowl halftime show. It's a lot of homosexuality going on here. And when you're talking about throwing balls across the court, across the field or whatever, girl, that's y'all prerogative, not mine. So I didn't watch the whole thing. But in my opinion, I'm just like, y'all should have pushed this. Y'all should have pushed it, because there's so many scenes from the movie that they could have taken and just plopped into some trailers or cute ass videos and just promoted on Twitter, promoted on social media. And I know that they did, but in my opinion, it was not a strong enough push. And that's why you probably saw the box office numbers that you did. So yeah, I think better promotion should have been done. But if we're talking about the content of the movie, they did a good job. Like, it was a solid movie, and I was very scared. I was a little scared, even though based off of the trailers, I was like, okay, this sounds like it'll be cute. But based off of the history of DC and based off of Suicide Squad and what they did with that shit, I was like, oh my god. I was like, please don't fuck this shit up, especially since it's basically a spin-off of a spin-off, at least in my opinion. Harley Quinn trying to stand on her own. It was a good story, especially in the social climate that we have now. We're trying to diversify shit, especially when it comes to trying to highlight women's rights. I think it played directly into that hand, and it was a good choice, right? Which is why I'm just like, they could have, if they pushed it hard enough, this shit could have exceeded even the box office numbers that we're seeing now. And before I continue, this shirt and this glitter is really giving me Harley Quinn. I love it. And so I want to talk about another aspect of this, is just how some of these weird fanboys, and I'm not talking about fanboys, I'm talking about weird fanboys, okay, approached even the concept of this movie. You know, they saw the trailer and essentially what they were saying was just like, well, titties aren't out, her ass ain't out, I need to see more stomach, it needs to be more revealing. And they were just like, Harley Quinn's supposed to be this sexy, sex appeal having woman, and the way that y'all transferred that shit onto the screen, it's not giving us that. And to me, I'm just like, if y'all want to watch that type of shit, just go watch porn or something. Like, and I know this is really rich coming from a gay man, but it's really weird when that's like the top priority. Like, they didn't give a fuck about what the story was taught. That's why I said weird fanboys. Some of these weird fanboys did not give a fuck about what the story was gonna be about. They didn't care about like the character design. They didn't care about the fact that I love the color schemes of the fucking movie. Like, they didn't care about none of that shit. They just want to see ass and titties. I'm just like, if you want to see that, go and watch some porn. And the reason why I say that with my chest is because if we treated male superheroes the way that y'all are trying, or male comic book characters the way that y'all are trying so desperately to treat women comic book characters, we would have Superman in a goddamn Speedo. Okay, we have Batman in some short shorts. You have to really think about, like, why is it that, and of course, like I said, I'm gay, so I love to see when a bitch looks good. You know, I'm just, the girl power energy jumps out. I love that. You know, women can be sexual and free, and I love it when it's on their own terms, girl. You know what I mean? But you have to really think about it if the roles were reversed. If the roles were reversed, we would have Martian Manhunter, you see what I'm saying? We would have Spider-Man giving us all types of lingerie tees. Like, what is it? The girl is out here fighting people. Like, why does her titties need to be bouncing all over the place? And that's why I'm just like, I love anime, but sometimes there's a certain threshold where I'm just like, okay, girl, like, this fan service is way too much. It don't even apply to the story. If y'all treated a lot of these women characters like y'all do these male characters, everybody would be walking around here just swinging shit around. And I can only imagine what a lot of the women might be thinking who consume a lot of this media, and it's just like, yeah, okay, like, we can be sexual, but goddamn, like, you know, we can also be other things. And I think that, you know, you have this female director, her name is Cathy Yan. She's done a couple other movies like Dead Pigs as well, but, you know, based off of the movie, just watching the movie, I could tell that it was a female director, just how they treated the woman characters like they are actually multi-dimensional people. Of course, there is still a level of, you know, the comic book silliness because it's a movie based off of a comic book character, but it treated the women characters like they were human beings and not pinup dolls. You see what I'm saying? So, and I think this is according to CNET, the budget was $84 million, and they had apparently, like, worldwide, they made back like $81 million. So it's not a complete disaster, but like I said in the beginning of this video, I think that because the movie, it's not like it was a bad movie, but I think that because the movie was not pushed as hard as it could have been when it came to promotion, that's why you're seeing the numbers that you're seeing. So I think that Margot Robbie did an amazing job with this movie. And, you know, I say that because a character like Harley Quinn, you either, it's no in between. You either hit it on the mark or it's really corny. You see what I'm saying? And for her to have to go through those ranges of emotions so quickly, because Harley Quinn is crazy as hell. Like, for her to do it so quickly and to be so convincing, she did an amazing job. There was a lot of comedy in there, but it wasn't too much to the point where it's just like, okay, girl, like, this shit ain't funny or it's corny. It was very like one-liners, sarcasm, dry humor. I love that type of humor. So I also liked how they intertwined all the Birds of Prey into one story. They didn't just like meet up like it's some Power Rangers and fought the enemies and that's it. The Huntress's story was very unique and how she had all her family members killed and she was just exacting her revenge. I love how she was trying to get everyone to call her Huntress, but they kept calling her, Crossbow Killer. Black Mask was an evil ass villain. Oh my gosh, he's one of them villains where you just like, you see the actor and you're like, girl, are you really that nasty in real life? I don't know how actors who play villains deal with that type, because I know there are real fans who really think that some of these actors are as evil as their villains, which is like, girl, I'm not that stupid. But like, I don't know how to do with that shit. He was a good ass fucking villain. He made me hate his ass throughout, and he was just so erratic. He was so stupid. He was but smart at the same time. Miss Pickpocket, Miss Cassandra Cain was great. They was trying all types of laxatives on our good sis, and it was just, it was not working, girl. It was like diamonds in your ass, shit bright like a diamond. Shit bright like a diamond. Renee Montoya as this cop, and just who got suspended. It was fun. It was fun. It was a fun ass movie. I will say that when it came down to Miss Black Canary, I was a little bit disappointed because I was like, sis, like, I get it, sis likes to fight, and maybe, you know, just because Harley Quinn does not have powers, they didn't want Black Canary to be overshadowing her. I guess that's what's happening, but, you know, towards the end when Black Mask came for their ass and they were pinned down, Black Canary was just like, girl, I guess I gotta do it. So she screamed. She let out that Banshee scream, girl. She let out that Christina Aguilera scream, honey. Yeah! She knocked them girls off her feet. And so I guess that was a plot device to make her fall out, like, oh, I can't help it. Oh, she fell out. She couldn't use her powers like that throughout the whole movie. And that because she knew she would faint, but she didn't have any other option. She had to do it. I guess that's how they made an excuse for it. But in my opinion, a better way to do that would be to let her be learning how to use her powers throughout the movie, right? So it's not like we have to wait until the end of the goddamn movie to see her scream at people. Like, let her maybe be tricky. I like how they started off with that martini glass being broken while she was singing. But I think that if while she was fighting other people, and maybe she let her scream accidentally and knock people off, and then she starts to learn how to use it, and then at the end of the movie you have that big moment, I think that would have been a much better way to go about this shit, because I went into the movie like, oh shit, I can't wait to see Black Canary, like what she's gonna be doing. I love her powers. So the fact that I did not get to see it as much was really disappointing. I guess I understand if you're trying to make this all about Harley Quinn. I don't know, for those of you who have seen it, would you have preferred for it to be like how it is, like it's just Harley Quinn and a little bit, a tab of Birds of Prey, or would you have preferred like a full Birds of Prey movie? I think that it would have been difficult for them to market it that way, even though I think they really fucked up on the marketing in general. But I think they probably thought it would have been difficult for them to market it that way because more people maybe recognize Harley Quinn. So if you're trying to introduce all these characters while, you know, Suicide Squad already has been, you know, deemed a disaster, it's just like maybe they thought that was a risk that they were unwilling to take or whatever. But I don't know. I think that if they had focused more on all the characters, it wouldn't have been bad. And I say that, but they also did a good job like explaining everyone's backstories and the way that Harley Quinn narrated the story. She was like, I'm gonna tell it how I want to tell it. Like, it was great. And the ending when Miss Cassandra was like, girl, I stole your ring, and then that grenade said boom boom bam bam, honey. I loved it. So yeah, and again, the purpose of me making this video is just because I've seen so many people online talking about, I don't know, and it's also publications too, like, oh, the movie failed, it did so horribly at the box office. Now granted, American box office could have definitely been better, but if we're talking about the overall budget and the overall, like, what they brought in for the weekend, it was still cute. And the reason why I think this is important is because if we don't diversify the type of movies, superhero movies, comic book movies that we're seeing in the media and shit, it's just gonna continue to be this boring ass straight men fighting crime in costumes, and it's gonna be no nuance, it's gonna be no interesting stories. It's just like, I think that we have to, especially like, cause I'm such a nerd when it comes to these superhero shits, like I'm trying to see different stories when it comes to people with powers, when it comes to comic books, when it comes to superheroes. I'm not trying to see the same old over and over, where the people are all straight men, a lot of them are white, you know what I mean? Like, so to have a movie like this, and I know it's not like pushing the boundaries in a way that's like, oh my gosh, super revolutionary, but it's still something different. And I'm just like, if people don't see the value in stories like that, then we're not gonna get to the type of shit that I want to see, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the reason why I'm making this video, because there are a lot of people acting like the movie was garbage, and I'm just like, it definitely wasn't. And like, I'm trying to see woman superheroes. I know Harley Quinn isn't a superhero, but you know what I'm saying, like I'm trying to see women superheroes, I'm trying to see gay superheroes, I'm trying to see black superheroes. Like, girl, I'm glad that we had this rise in the popularity of heroes and powers and comic books and live action TV, great, but I'm just like, okay, let's evolve into something else, because this shit is just like, I don't want it to look like everything else on media. Because honestly, some of the main points about these stories with superpowers and mutants, especially X-Men, is about breaking free of the status quo. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just like, you can't be about that shit and then all the stories you present to us look the same, have the same type of people as actors and characters. Like, we gotta move it forward. And so I think that this is one avenue in which it can be done. It needs to evolve. It needs to evolve. So yeah, for those of you guys who did check out Birds of Prey, let me know what you thought about that. I feel like I focused more on the way the movie was constructed and marketed versus the actual content. But I don't know, that's what I wanted to focus on. Let me know what you thought about this video. Like I said, make sure you check out my Patreon at patreon.com/AdrianExpression. I love you all so much. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure that you have a good goddamn evening.